Hey everybody, I know that we've started, but we are still trying to get our little microphones going here. At least mine are going, but I'm trying to unmute Jennifer because she needs to be unmuted. Okay, I think we're good to go. Hey everybody, welcome. Sorry, just had to get we're still getting things figured out as we go mobile here, but it's good.
Hey, what's up, friends? We're really glad that you're joining us tonight. You're listening to Eternal Impact's Live It Out Livestream with John and Jennifer Garrick, where we unapologetically lift up the ways of Jesus and we promote grace and we strive to learn and think and live like Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. We believe in a triune God who calls us to live out the good news where we live, work, and play.
Yes, and that's what we're going to do. And again, apologize for little hiccups here. And last week, too, we were from, where were we? We were in Helena? Where were we?
We're in Whitefish.
Whitefish. Where is that where we came from? Or did we, no, Coeur d'Alene.
Coeur d'Alene.
Coeur d'Alene, Helena before that.
We've been all over the place.
We have been all over. We are actually coming to you tonight from Oregon City. We are still in our same rolling home, of course, but now we're at our home base and we've plugged in everything here. And so that's the scoop, but we are sorry for, little challenges. We're trying to figure things out. And really, Live It Out Livestream is a practice for us. That's why every week, we've got, other aspirations and things to do with media in days, months, and years ahead. But man, this is great practice for us to connect with friends and do live and understand the technology a little bit better. And we're learning and growing it. So anyway, glad you're on board. And I see one person hopping in. So, Addie says hello. Hi,
hello,
Addie.
Addie.
It's good to see you. I know we've been praying with you and David this last week, or for you guys this last week. Good to see you on here. And very cool. We want to remind everybody that as you are coming on, make sure to give us a little shout out via a comment. Just let us know because we'd love to see. And again, we can see when people are coming. There's another. We see people coming on to the live stream, whether through Facebook or through Twitter or through YouTube. But we don't see who you are unless you say, hey, here we are, and give us a shout out. And we love that. And so we do have a lot of friends that have decided, hey, they're not into the interactive. We were with some friends this last weekend in Eastern Oregon. They're like, oh, I couldn't, they love to listen, they love to participate, but they don't want to.
They don't post.
They don't want to interact.
They're like, we're just stalkers.
Yeah, just stalkers, just stalkers.
And you know what? We welcome you too.
Yeah,
all you stalkers out there, we're happy that you're joining.
Yeah, we love you for sure. And yes, I can hear you, April. Well, actually, I can't hear you. I can only just see you and your beautiful faces on your picture. But yes, we are here, and hopefully you can hear us now. That's the important thing. Such dorks getting our audio, video things figured out. But it's great.
Hey,
so,
and speaking of comments.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, speaking of dorks.
No.
Speaking of dorks, let's talk about us some more. All right. No. Comments.
Speaking of comments, we love your comments coming in. And tonight, we're going to be encouraging you to comment in on ways that you have shown love to people who are unlovable. John and I are going to be talking about that in a little bit. We're going to be offering a few little tips and advice, but we're counting on you to also share because we are here to learn and glean from each other, right?
Yeah, and it's a big subject. I mean, it's a big subject, love, and what does it mean? Really, we're going to talk a little bit about what is love, but more importantly, let's have some assumptions around love, that we know what it is, and how hard is that to love, and love in such a culture and a climate right now that seems to be so unloving. And so we're going to talk about that. But I want to remind you that it's important for us and for the Live It Out live stream for you to be able to hit like and subscribe if you're on YouTube side. Please hit subscribe and put a thumbs up. That helps the algorithms, and so really appreciate that. Even if you're on Facebook, swing over to YouTube and do that while we're interacting. It's really helpful. So thanks for doing that. And then what is really the most helpful thing is to share. So when we're talking about subject matter that is relevant, then let's pass it on. And we have found that gives the most restreams and the most input and the most connection and interaction is by just sharing it. So you can just share it through on Facebook or send the link through YouTube, but just share it with friends through social media. And it's a great way to have more people interacting. And that's what's important for us, because
that's why we do this.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. We do it because, granted, granted, we grow from it, and it's good for us because as we're learning more around the subject matter, it's helpful, and we grow in our spiritual formation as well. But really, it's half the fun, if not more, of just interacting with you. And
we love it.
Yeah, that's what's great. So thanks for making comments. Give us some shout outs. Let us know where you're from. We love to see that. And I'll just remind you, last reminder kind of about the technology is that because we broadcast on 3 separate platforms, we can see your comments coming in from wherever they are. Our software kind of collects them if it works well, if it works like it's supposed to.
It's doing okay tonight.
Yeah, and then it allows us to be able to see your comments. So when, like here's one. When April says loud and clear, she can hear us loud and clear. We can see that, and she happens to be coming from Facebook. I think so. Yeah. So anyway, there's lots of ability to interact in that. So do that, and it's going to be great subject matter tonight. So very cool.
Very fun. So, quick highlights for the week. John, you already mentioned, we're home. Well, we're always home now, aren't we?
Rolling home.
Home is wherever our rolling home is. But we made it back to home base, and we had such a great trip. All over Montana and northern Idaho and eastern Oregon, connecting with some great partners with the ministry, getting to meet some new folks, connecting up with some family. It was just really rich and a wonderful trip, and a little stressful at times, learning to navigate with the Ark. I have been lovingly calling this rolling home the Ark. And
it is, when you see it. We promise to do a video. We're going to do a video, a tour, and
we keep saying that. We just have to make that happen.
We will work on that. We've just been on the road, the go, and I'm gone next week doing a retreat next week. So we'll try. Maybe this weekend we can get that done and get it posted. But we will do that. And this is the first time that we've hooked up the rolling home, the Ark, whatever. We haven't named it for sure yet. That's kind of a working name. That's a working name. But we were going to name the truck and the trailer eventually. But I will say this is the first time we've had it hooked up here in Oregon City. So let's just hope, all of everything runs fine, including the sewage that it goes down the thing.
We're going to assume that's going to work just
man, it's going to be great. But anyway, so hey, fun to see some other people. I'm going to break into your highlights just for a second, and then give me some more. Christina Hamilton. Oh man,
good to
fun to see you on here. We're seeing different people popping in from different places. And she's coming from California, and she says, finally got home from work in time to join you.
Yay.
Love you. We love you too. And so glad to have you join us. And all of our regulars we love having too, but love seeing some of those new people that are there. So very fun. Seeing some others. And, Stephen Schwartz, man, fun to see Stephen. We didn't get to see Stephen, see you when you were up in Kalispell. But very fun to see you. And man, I was Stephen's youth pastor for a few years when he was in high school, and that was a few years ago. So Stephen, you must be old. You must be old, really old now, because I feel really old, and that was 30 years. That was 28 years ago. What? That's another lifetime ago. So
who were those people? I don't even know who those people were.
And I am glad that you continue to speak truth and love. As you mentioned, John the Baptist as well as Christ, but we are going to talk about some love subjects tonight. So just saying hi to a couple people. And what are some other highlights? Maybe there's a couple other little highlights that we've got. Was there anything else?
Well, just looking ahead, we're going to be home here for just a few short weeks before we take off. We have been so fortunate to be able to go to Hawaii to do a retreat there. Yes. And we're actually going to take 1 week and do a little vacation for ourselves as well. And I think, we've been seeing all these beautiful places, but it's been work, so we're actually going to pause and do a little vacation, as well as also doing some research, checking out some retreat spaces that potentially could be partnering with us. So we look forward to sharing that journey with you. That'll be mid-October is when we take off for that. So
and we will be taking a week off, just so you know, from the live stream as well. We'll post it and let you know, because we are privileged to be there 3 weeks, but we are going to be working 2 of those 3 weeks. One of them we're doing a retreat very excited about the leadership couple
Yeah.
that we're going with.
Yeah.
And really time for soul formation and just really dialing in some things in our ministries and lives that we're looking forward to in that. And we were fortunate by a champion of Eternal Impact that stepped up and gave us the space to be able to do that retreat in Maui, and allowed us to be there for another week, just a vacation and just a rest. And
so kind.
yeah, we're totally looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Not fixing anything on an RV. I'm not driving and traveling anywhere.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
have
setting up
become
video.
Quite the handyman.
Yes, we are just going to rest, and it's gonna be good. So that's the week we'll take off. But we will come to you from Maui, and we'll be doing Live It Out live stream there as well. So it'll be fun. Look forward to joining us in October for that. And then the 1 week, again, the third week is just going to be kind of go. We're not sure of all the locations. Maui, it looks like possibly Kona and Kauai too. We're not sure, but just looking at those partners. So anyway, very fun. If you're interested to know more about our crazy journeys, you can always follow us on Facebook and see what's going on
And
YouTube.
It is crazy.
It is crazy, but check also eternalimpact.org, eternalimpact.org. You can sign up for the newsletter, and all the details are there, and that would be great. Love to have you. Seen some other. Hey, I haven't seen Steve Larson in a while. Man,
Hi,
Steve, I haven't
Steve.
seen you in a long time, man. It's good to see you. Just saw his comment come up there and just said to say hi. Man, you got a good beard going on that one. I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, he's got a good. That's not me an old picture though. You never know. But anyway, good to see you on here, Steve. And join us tonight, Steve, and others for the conversation about love. And we're going to dive into that pretty quickly. We just want to do two things that we usually do on Live It Out live stream. Number one, we thank our sponsors. Our main sponsor are our champions for Eternal Impact. Jennifer and I are simply missionaries and leaders helping leaders, loving them, listening to them, and serving them through Eternal Impact. And if it wasn't for many of you and many others that support us month to month through Eternal Impact, we couldn't do what we do. And so we just have to give a shout out to our sponsors. We don't have on this show on Live It Out live stream. This is kind of a casual thing with Jennifer and I just talking about living out the gospel where we live, work, and play. We don't have corporate sponsors or anything like that. It's just friends and fans and people that have hopped on eternalimpact.org and said, hey, I want to be a part of the mission, and they've done that. So continue to stay in touch, but we want to thank our champions. And we know some of them are listening tonight, some are already on here, and we just want to say a big thank you to them. We love you and appreciate you a ton. And then we also do a flashback. Flashback is when we go to the last week's show, and we do just a couple minutes just to remind you of some specific thing that was a subject that came up a lot, or people had a lot of questions, or we got a lot of feedback from them on the restream and others. And last week's subject was grace, not just how we get grace, but how we distribute grace. And I want to just remind you that grace is unmerited favor. And that's the thing that I just want to remind you, is just a flashback. And I want you to just seriously think about this and let it simmer. Don't just try and put it in the microwave and say, yeah, okay, I got it. Done. I understand grace. No, let it simmer. Because I just want to remind you, no matter how religious you are, how many good things you've done, how involved or uninvolved you are in a church, or whatever it is, you cannot earn God's grace. I just want you to catch that. You can't earn it. He gives it to us freely. Freely. And it's merited, it's given to us to our benefit. Jesus even says in the scriptures, he says, we are heirs with Christ. When we respond to Christ and receive all the grace that he's offering us and allow the lives of our impulses to be led and guided by his Spirit and let him redeem us, then guess what? It says that he makes us heirs with Christ. In other words, an heir doesn't like earn it. It's like my children didn't earn the right to be heirs.
Right.
No, they are. They are my heirs.
Right.
They just are. And because of his grace, he gives you his love. He gives you his forgiveness. He delivers it, not because you've earned it. It says in Romans chapter 6:23, it says that it is a gift. The gift of life, of eternal life, is a gift. That's the thing. The wages of sin are death, but the gift of God, the gift of eternal. I'm messing up on this.
Is eternal life.
The gift of God is eternal life. Yeah, a gift. So it's given. And so I just want to remind you of that. That's the little flashback from last week. And I know that you and we struggle with this idea of needing to earn things because we live in a Western free market capitalistic society where it is about earning. You know, it's performance, it's earning, it's doing the. Listen, you can play that game with Jesus, but it won't work. He loves you. You are beloved. You are endeared to him. And yes, we do sin. Yes, we get separated from God. Our sin and our stupidity and our rebellion, it can separate us from God's best, as it says in Romans. But his grace that he gives us is not because we've earned it. It's because he's motivated by love, which we're going to talk about today. He's motivated by love, and he gives us merit when we come to him and we lay ourselves, we raise what we call raise the white flag in our life. And simply, it's a universal symbol for surrender. Okay? Raise the white flag. And when we do that, he bestows upon us a grace that we can't earn. So I share that because I know I wrestle, and many leaders, many people that I work with, we talk about it like it's free grace, and free grace, not cheap grace, by the way, but to us, given to us, and we talk about it, we can preach about it, we can communicate, but do we operate? Do we think about God? Do we interact with him as a loving God, full of grace, or are we always thinking he's a little upset and he's a little angry and he's just kind of waiting, you know, and if we were just a little better, then he'd give us grace. Yeah. Man, if that's you, just be reminded you are beloved. He is very fond of you, and you cannot earn his grace. He gives it to you.
So cease striving.
And
rest in his
rest
love.
in him. He's just wild about you.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's our flashback from last week, giving and receiving grace. And man, I want that for you. I want it for me. I want it more for me.
I do too.
And I don't think it'd be right for me to be on a live stream like this and come across like, oh, I've got it all figured out, and you know, I just want you to know I'm wanting more. I haven't arrived in my sanctification and being set apart for God's purposes.
I think it's a lifelong lesson.
It is.
We continue to learn.
Yeah, I want more of his grace, and I want to walk in it, and I don't want to be striving. So you're enough. He loves you, and his grace is sufficient. So. All right, well, listen, we're going to get into the subject matter tonight, but a couple other people that are just, I'm seeing come through the thread. And remember, I can't see who's all on here. I can see numbers. I see people coming in and that, but I can't see who they are unless they comment. And so it's fun, all those that I've said already. And then, oh my gosh, Tara, another youth grouper. This is even from farther back.
This goes way
Tara,
back.
I love following and seeing what's happening in your guys' life. And she's a pastor now, her and her husband. And it's just so cool. And what a privilege. We should see each other face to face other than just digital. You know, I mean, because I can't really see you. I just see the beautiful picture of you
we try to connect when we're on the road. We're trying to connect. So if we come in your area.
Yes.
And
reach out.
Know, like I think Christina's saying, when you're coming to California, well, you know, we kind of went through there. Hopefully we'll get back there again
we'll
sometime.
Get back.
But kind of follow us because we are on the road a lot. So if we're coming your way, let us know and we'll set up a time to do coffee and
or
and
host
connect,
us.
Or
host us. Hey, if we're in the rolling home
ark.
In our new church, the ark, or whatever we're going to call it, then hey, you just get us some hookups and we'll swing by and say hey.
Oh, it would be a privilege
anyway,
to
yes,
do that.
And Tara says yes, right. It is. Now, was it yes, right to the fact that I'm old? Or yes, right, that we should get together? Okay, so I'm just checking. Hopefully it's yes, right. We should see each other. She says, miss you guys for sure. Okay, so good. I hope that wasn't, hey, we're old. Yes, right. You are old, John. But anyway, really fun to see people, from all over the world that jump onto this live stream. We can't throw everyone's name up or anything, but just really
These
fun.
are the times when I'm really grateful for social media.
Yeah, I mean, it's a necessary evil, but I'm
so
grateful.
glad we get to connect. That's why we do this.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true. All right. I like this, by the way. She responded back to you. Christina says, I have a big street next to my house that you can park. It's like, okay.
Park the Ark.
Yeah, park.
Yay!
Park the Ark. That could be like a tour name. Park the Ark.
Where do we park the Ark next?
Oh, that's good. And when you do, we are going to be having a contest. When we do, we're going to do a video of the I can't say Ark because I don't know if that's going to be the name, but of our mobile home and our truck and all that, because we're naming them. We want to name them. We haven't named them yet. We need to have some time to drive the truck and be in the trailer for a while, but we're getting close to naming. So if you have suggestions, we're willing to take, I don't know if it's really a contest, but we're willing to take your suggestions. Once you see it, then you'll have to see that's what we call it. So,
hey, speaking of driving the Ark, I drove on this trip, believe it or not.
Oh my gosh, we should have brought pictures of that. We should have.
And we survived.
Yes.
It was terrifying.
Yeah.
And it was really fun.
Terrifying. Yeah, it was kind of
for both of us.
You know what? One thing, when Jennifer drives, it improves my prayer life. Let me tell you.
Hey.
Wow. Actually, you did amazing. You really did. You did amazing. And it took more energy for you too. I mean, because it was
it's a big deal.
Yeah, you're not used to it.
Didn't you say it's like from the front of the truck to the end
57 feet.
57 feet. That's like a semi.
Yeah.
We have to pull into truck stops now. I've never been in truck stops like we've been. We're pulling up next to semis.
I mean, like next to the semis.
Seriously, next to semis. It's a whole new world.
We need one of those.
Ooh, yeah.
One of those things. Anyway, okay, so we already got people like throwing names out. The Beast.
Beast.
Too early. You have to see it first. You have to see it. But just so you know, Roxy, I love the name for the Beast. That's what we used to call our 15-passenger van that we sold last year.
It was called the Beast.
We can't call it. Could be Beast 2, but that doesn't ring as well.
Nah,
but
we need
anyway, we love that name. It's endeared. The Beast is we have Beauty and the Beast. So all right, well listen, let's dive into some love talk. Okay, let's dive into some love talk, and I hope that. Oh, okay. We just had a flash on our TV screen. We're like, did we lose everything? What happened? No, we're good. I think we're still good. I think. Let me know. Yes, I think we still have everybody. Whoo, that scares me.
So over the last few weeks, we have talked about giving and receiving forgiveness. We've talked about giving and receiving grace last week. Mm-hmm. And now we're going to talk about how we are to love those that are not always so easy to love.
Yeah.
So if I asked you right now, and I'm not telling you to do this, but if I tell you, think of somebody that God has put in your path that is a difficult person. Mm-hmm. I'll bet that within seconds you can come up with somebody just like that, and probably more than one person.
Yeah. And did I mention?
Don't
put their name up right now. Do not put their name up.
Don't post who they are.
So yes, don't do it.
I don't want to know who the difficult people are in your life.
We're not going to share that message if it goes up here.
You know who that unlovable or difficult person is. Mm-hmm. We all have them. Yeah. Difficult people are not hard to find. In fact, they're everywhere, and they've been around since the beginning of time. If you reflect back to Moses, talk about leading some difficult people. And he didn't just lead them for a little while. He led them for 40 plus years until his dying day. He was dealing with difficult people, whining and complaining, and yet he remained faithful and steadfast, and he showed God's love, and he pleaded on their behalf for forgiveness. He was the perfect model of learning to love the unlovable at times. So, and it seems like as we progress through time, genuine love and kindness, it feels like it's becoming harder and harder to find. And I know you feel that just like I do. In Matthew 24:11, Jesus tells us, towards the end times, that because of increased wickedness, that the love of most will grow cold. And I admit it kind of feels like that. I'm not saying we're in the end times, because I think every generation says that. But I do feel like people's love is kind of growing cold, and maybe even COVID and all that isolation just, I don't know, it just threw off our groove. And so finding love and compassion is a little more difficult these days. It would be a lot easier to just avoid that person that bothers you, just avoid them altogether. I know I have been guilty of that. I hate confrontation. I hate tension of any kind. And so
I love it. Okay, not really.
Well, you handle it better than I do. I run from it at all costs. And so it's very challenging for me to push myself out of my comfort zone and attempt to be Christ-like and love the unlovable. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I like you point that out too, because we all have different temperaments and personalities, and I think it's really important to understand that sometimes it's easier for other people, you know, and I think that even in that, it helps us to give grace and be loving towards the person that might be struggling, you know, with this, you know, at a different level. And I do think that it's part of this culture that we're in right now. And again, like you aptly put, it's not that we're whatever the end times are. We're clearly in the end times.
We're always
you know, the disciples
getting closer
said
to the end
times. Yeah, so we're closer. And what we mean by that, for those that are, you know, maybe new to our Live It Out, live stream, or even new to the faith and Christianity and don't know what that means, the end times just meaning that, you know, Christ will return. He will demonstrate his love in the most profound way by returning, and he's prepared a place for us, and he will return and take us home. And so when we talk about terms that come across in English vernacular, and heaven and eternity, that's where those come from. And that idea that we will spend an eternity experiencing the vastness of his love in ways that we've never experienced here. And so anyway, I just think it's important for us to really understand that that's what he's calling us to. And it said when we're processing through this, we're called to be witnesses of that by showing Christ-like love to others, especially the ones that are uneasy that are uneasy to love. Yes, is that uneasy? Is that the right word? Not easy. Okay, not easy to love.
Difficult people.
Difficult. There you go. And it's true, and I think it's okay for us to be honest with ourselves. Matter of fact, when we're not honest with ourselves about that, you know, we can find ourselves bound up and almost have to be performing or pretending. And that doesn't mean, by the way, it's interesting. I was just getting ready to say, and then Roxy brought up this, I just saw it come up on the thread, and she says, but still with boundaries. For persons with mental health, or for persons with mental health. Absolutely. This is not to say that there's no boundaries. Okay?
And that you just allow yourself to be abused by someone who is just unkind constantly.
Yeah, and I mean, even just this last week, I put on my Facebook quote, a Toby Mac quote that says, unconditional love, which, by the way, in Greek, the word agape, love, is the word for unconditional love, and there's a lot of different loves. You know, in English we tend to have one, and so this subject, I want to be clear. What we're really talking about is a deeper love than just I love pizza, okay, or I love carne asada burritos, or
which
I
we
love. I think I'm hungry because I mean everything I'm loving right now. I'm thinking about chips and salsa. Sounds so good. But I love them. But I love my wife. Different love. I love others, or those that are challenged to love. I love them differently than I love a carne asada burrito, okay? And so when we're talking about unconditional love, it said, the Toby Mac quote was this. It says, unconditional love does not mean unconditional acceptance of bad behavior.
Amen.
And I do think that that's important, because there are appropriate boundaries in life. And although we can demonstrate love, we also have to make sure to protect the vulnerable. We have to make sure that if we're being injured by someone, that we're not re-injured. And there is an element of our own mental and spiritual health that we consider in the process. So I just want to be clear. We talked a couple weeks ago about forgiveness and how forgiveness is not always reconciliation,
Right.
right? And so we can demonstrate love, and we're going to talk about it tonight, and how to do that. But I think a really good point that Roxy brings up that I was just getting ready to say is it doesn't throw everything off and say, oh, there's no boundaries and it's just free God, so we're just love. Matter of fact, that's a cheap love. That's a love that doesn't even that's too easy.
Yeah.
That's too easy. And the reality is that it is difficult at times, very difficult. So thank you for bringing that up and coming in line, Roxy, with what I was just going to talk about. So how do we go about loving the unlovable like Christ loved us? And when we say unlovable, we don't mean it's like, well, they're unlovable. It's impossible. No, but those that are challenging to love. And Jesus challenges us to this even when he said, well, it's one thing for you to love those that are easy to love, but what about those that are challenging to love, And so I want us to just talk a little bit about that. We ran across an article in Desiring God. Those of you know Desiring God is John Piper. I don't promote everything that Piper does, and but I did like I like a lot of his stuff, and this was an article written on his website by a lady named Stacy Rioch. And Stacy, I hope I've said that right. It's Reaoch. I think it's Rioch, or I'll just say it really fast, Rioch. And I say it really fast, and it's great. But anyway, I really appreciated what she had to say regarding loving and unloving, or regarding loving the unlovely, pardon me, or not even really unlovely, but just those that are hard to love.
The prickly ones.
Yeah.
The ones that rub you the wrong
yes,
way.
the prickly ones. And we all have them. To pretend we don't would be silly. And we'll talk later about how we might even be that prickly one. We'll talk about that before we wrap up. But we wanted to share her thoughts with you. And as we see this list, we encourage you to write your comments. Any way that you have practiced loving the unlovable. What works for you? We want to know. We want to know what type of practices you put in and help others, because your comments may be an encouragement to someone else. Or when we say, no, it's a terrible thing, and that'll be encouraging to us, that we'll never do that. No.
And I do see some questions coming up, too, that we'll try to address as we get through there. But
cool.
So we've got some practical steps.
Yeah, so here's 6 practical ways, among many others. It's not the only ways, just 6 that she talked about to show the love to the difficult person that God has placed in your path. And then we will be circling back and getting some of those questions as they come up. So feel free to put them. And by the way, if you do questions, it's always helpful for us if you just put a Q colon, because sometimes there's other comments that are coming through, and it helps us when we see a Q next to it. So, that's a question we want to make sure to address. So that's helpful if you do that. So here it is, and I'll just read. We're reading from the quote from her article. It says, "Pray for your own heart."
That's where you start.
Yeah, pray for your own heart. Ask God to soften your heart towards this person, to put off anger and irritability, to put on meekness and kindness, to understand this person's struggle. That's important. There's empathy there, and to meet them with compassion. Now, the scripture that is brought up during that time is Colossians 3, chapter 3, verses 12 through 14. It is this. It's put on then, as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, compassionate hearts, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience. Wow, I feel like I should read those slower.
Yeah.
Because you really want to let those simmer. Okay, again, put on then, as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, and you are beloved. Okay, He loves you.
We just talked about that.
And you're holy only because of His holiness, not because of yours. You didn't become holy because you've finally been good enough. Because He gives you His holiness and you are His beloved, compassionate hearts, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience, bearing with one another. And if one has a complaint against you, then forgive each other, as the Lord has forgiven you. So you also must forgive. In verse 14 it says this. It says, "And above all these things, put on love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony." Under this point, and I want to move on to the next point because I don't want us to lose time, but honey, I was thinking about prayer for your own heart. you see that in the Old Testament and the New Testament. You even see this in David, King David, and I believe it's Psalm 139.
Yeah.
He goes through this entire beautiful poetry about, slaying my enemies, and how could you, having justice, and, coming against it. And then at the end, he ends this section of that poetry in Psalm 139. He says, it's almost like a pause. It doesn't say Selah, but it's like a pause. And he says, you can hear a thought transition. He says, search me, O God.
Like, wait a minute.
And know my heart.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, obviously, what does he mean by God know my heart? Like, you didn't know and now you know. Well,
point
what he's
out
saying,
to me.
yeah, point out to me.
Yeah.
Search me, O God, and know my heart. In other words, God, here I am. I'm opening myself up. I want you to see my motives. I want you to see who I am. And that is critical. So I just was thinking about that.
And he says, see if there's any wicked way in me.
Yeah, any wicked way in me. Right. So it's back to this thing that she's talking about praying for your own heart. And even Jesus said, forgive me, before he says, help me to give grace to others. He says in the Lord's Prayer, forgive me my sins, know my heart. Yeah. Before I say, as I forgive those who sin against me. So anyway, sorry. Moving on to the next point.
So once you've prayed for your heart, you want to be praying for them. I've found so many times that when I intentionally start focusing my prayers on a person or situation, it does tend to change my attitude towards it, to be more compassionate, especially when I ask the Lord to give me his eyes and his heart and help me to see that person the way that he does. So ask God to be at work in their heart, drawing the unbelievers or that prickly person to himself and sanctifying believers to become more like Jesus. I've seen this happen over time, where I have intentionally started to pray about a person that has rubbed me the wrong way, and I literally see them soften towards me, and I can only
just by praying.
I can only credit that to God, because it's not anything that I'm doing. Because again, I hate confrontation. I want to flee from it, but it softens the situation. It softens their heart. The Holy Spirit really does.
Don't you think it softens ours too?
Both.
Yeah, it softens ours too.
It works both ways.
Yeah, when you're praying for someone that's difficult, it softens my own heart. Even when we're in a conflict, which we don't fight, we just have what we call intense fellowship. Okay, it's very spiritual. No, but
we never have.
But I mean, seriously, when I'm praying for, if there's a degree, I'm praying for you, it's actually the Holy Spirit softening my heart to hear and understand you better in what you're, saying and what you're processing. Yeah. So, there was a point that was brought up, and it was just a good one. I got Patty. We're seeing stuff coming through the threads, which love your comments, by the way. Love everyone that's commenting through. Again, remind those that may be joining us. We're having some more people here joining on. And so your questions are welcome. Your comments are always welcome. So please put them on there. But Patty, it's good to see you. And she says, and we've been praying for you, Patty. I don't bring up when there's people that we know and see on here, things we've been praying for with them. I don't bring that up on a live stream show, but the family members that in your life that I have been praying with and for, and we just want you to know we're continuing to do that. And you said, man, do I ever feel this? So many ready to ignite over an issue they disagree with. So true. It's kind of a climate right now.
Yeah,
and I encourage us as followers of Jesus to say, whoa, let's bring it down. Let's bring it down. But that doesn't mean we don't stand up for what we believe and all that. But the question you said is, how far do we pursue a person to attempt to display our love? Now, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer, because I think there's every situation has its own uniqueness, right? But I will say this, that what Jennifer was just talking about, it starts there. Start by praying and asking God to say, okay, Lord, show me, because we do not want to miss the reality that God is a supernatural, omnipresent God who cares deeply about us and wants to interact with us. Now, that means we want to take time to listen. If we're just going around our lives and don't have a conscious awareness of God and Him speaking and Him moving in our lives, then we're just going to try and do it on our own emotions, our own strength, and our own energy.
But and that's going to wear out.
It's going to wear out. And so Jennifer's comment and the point that the article made about, praying for them, that's where it starts, because God softens our heart, and he gives us supernatural, I'm going to say, discernment.
He does.
And he
really does.
Yes. And so we want to start there
Yeah.
instead of trying to go on our own, intuitions or whatever. Make sure there's a conscious awareness of him there, because that step of prayer really helps us to not only receive love, because that's important too, to receive his love, but then to be able to demonstrate it and share it with the pricklies in our life.
I like April's comment too. Pull that one up here.
I'm going through these.
It's all
here.
similar on there
April,
as well.
Go ahead and read that.
Yeah, ask God to help me change my heart and mind and the Holy Spirit for words that represent Christ and edify them.
That's good. I'm leaving that on the screen right now. See that, April? Good word.
It starts with us and our attitude towards them, letting the Holy Spirit work through us, and then praying for them.
Yeah.
And we can't really pray for them properly until our heart is right in our attitude towards the situation and everything. So
and we're going to do a whole show coming up. I don't know when it is on the schedule. Is this our 16th show? What is this? 16th. Okay. Hey, all right. 16th live stream. But we're going to do a whole show on humility, and what you're talking about there is.
Do we have to?
I'm sorry, hon. Got to do it. But April, what you're saying there, just it reflects humility, and that is key. And I think that speaks into Patty's question as well. It's like, how far do we go? Well, we start by just, God opposes the proud, but he gives grace to the humble. So we just come to him, and we start by praying for us and for them, soften our heart, help us to know, and then he will give us the direction and the courage and the ability and the details of how to love. So we got more questions, more things coming in. We're going to get to some of them in comments, so thank you for those. But let's go ahead and go on to the number 3. It's move toward them, okay? Not away from them. And it's
I gave you this time.
Yeah, I know you did. I know you did.
Is yours.
Thanks, hon. Way to go. That's nice. Because the reality is, this is easier a lot of times for me than it is for Jennifer.
Yeah.
Okay.
By far.
And it's not just an introvert-extrovert thing, but there's other aspects, to this. But it's really important. Although our tendency is to want to steer clear of people whom we have strained relationships. Okay. And as we said before, sometimes you need that because there's boundaries and
it's okay to have boundaries.
Yes, healthy boundaries. Okay. Do not hear us saying, well, you shouldn't have boundaries. You just love it. No, we've already talked about that a few minutes ago, and we just reiterated here. So true. But they are exactly the people, though, that we need to be intentionally moving towards. Now, finding ways to engage them in conversation, meet them for coffee, send them a text. And again, we're not talking about people that are unreconciled with you, because again, there's been a personal injury that's been a part of it. And you may have forgiven them, but there's not reconciliation. And your job, they hold the keys to reconciliation. You do not. You hold the keys to forgiveness. So you can demonstrate love to them, okay? And I have people that this exact one, I have family members or people that have been a part of our life that there's injuries that have been there in life that boundaries have had to be created. They have to be created.
And we don't love them less.
Right.
But
we don't love them.
Also wise.
Wise, and our interaction with them is different. However, even with those people, we are praying for them, and we're asking the Lord for leadership and how, first our own heart, is my motive right? Then we're praying for them, and then we're moving towards them, and it's different for different people. So I'm thinking of just a couple, I wouldn't say their names or anything here, but there are some that it's like they're very difficult. We have some, individuals of our life that are always going to be a part of our life, but there's some very painful and unreconciled things. And I know many of you have probably had that in family or in past relationships, but the reality is we've been able to love and ask the Lord, and he's given us ways, creative ways, to be able to press into them and love them, even though it doesn't have to be ignored, like accepting all the bad behavior and accepting, past indiscretions and all that. Oh, everything's fine. It's not the same thing. But there are ways. And then there's ways to just, if I could bring out the point, just like people that at your work, things like that. Man, there are people, if you're students, I know a lot of times we have students in here, university age students, or even high school age that we've had on live stream. And man, what a great opportunity to find someone in your cafeteria, in your student union, and somewhere that, man, they're struggling socially. Maybe they haven't had the same opportunities you have, or maybe their upbringing is bad and they're awkward or whatever. But finding opportunities like, I'm going to love them. So asking God, what are creative ways that I could not ignore them, not make fun of them, but I could demonstrate God's love to them. How do I do it? Which is not preaching. It's not that. It's just loving.
Actually, that goes right into the next one.
Yeah, share it. Go for it.
Find specific ways to bless them or encourage them.
That's good.
So, if there are, you can write them a note. You can buy them a book that's been an encouragement to you and tell them that you're praying for them. I've done these things actually in past years in work situations with coworkers that I didn't gel well with. But I felt impressed I gave one person flowers one time just to say thanks for the work that they did. That brought the mood so much. It brought the tone down. It just opened up doors.
Yep.
And just words of encouragement, random acts of kindness, right? We hear that comment all the time. Those go a long way.
Yep.
And it kind of helps that person to bring their fists down, and back off a little bit.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and tying those two together, specific ways to bless and encourage them, along with the idea of moving towards them and not away from them. We do that differently, and we're not going to go into the details of the 5 love languages by Dr. Gary Chapman or things like that. I encourage you, if you can throw that up on the thread, just 5 love languages by Dr. Gary Chapman. It's a great book. Is it in totality? Is it all the answer to how we love others? No, probably not. But a great practical tool to help those 5 love languages. They're acts of service, physical touch, words. Did I say words of encouragement? Acts of service, words of encouragement, physical touch, gift giving, and quality time. So those are just different. I knew we could do it together. Way to go. Thanks, babe.
Teamwork makes dream work.
But we think of those, and even whether it's our family members or other people or neighbors, there's ways for us to be intentional. It's like, okay, how I love, like our children. They're all different, right? But I know certain ones can receive love differently. One's just really words of encouragement, or one's physical touch, or one's quality time. And so, it's important to be intentional about that. Find ways to express that love.
I just posted the link on YouTube. I'll put it on Facebook as well.
Great. Yeah, just a good book. And again, that wasn't one we planned. It's just one that's coming to my mind and practical. It's helpful. So, all right. And we probably should put the article on there too. Today on the show notes.
I'll make sure that's in there.
So that gets on there. The article that we've been referencing. So you can go
back and read these yourself.
Yeah, that'd be great. So
what's number 5?
Number 5, and then there's one more after that. Give them grace, just as God extends grace to you. And remember last week, God's unmerited favor. You're not extending grace because they deserve it. Finally, I'll give you grace. You finally deserve it. No, it's giving them grace regardless. And again, that grace doesn't mean you have to go on vacation with them. Okay, you're not ignoring behavior, but it's like, nope, I'm going to give grace, and I'm going to find ways to demonstrate that. Remember God's lavish grace poured out for you daily, and ask God to help you bear with them, to forgive them as He is forgiven you. You can check out Colossians 3:13. We won't go to that scripture now. We just don't have time, but it's there. We read it earlier, and so that's good.
So the last one, and I think this is probably the hardest one, but the one, it should be number 1.
Yeah, pick the hardest for last.
Realize that you too could be the most difficult person in someone else's life. You might not even realize that you could be the thorn in the flesh for somebody that's close to you. No comments now.
Oh, I didn't say a thing. No.
Don't be oblivious to your own shortcomings and your own sins. So, when these situations come up and you're being irritated by whatever it is that they're doing, they're gossiping about you, they're just being rude, whatever it is, just ask God for the grace not to run away, but to keep engaging that hard to love person.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and we're running out of time tonight, but I just want to, and there's a couple comments we want to pull up and chat about here before we wrap up and do our dad jokes.
Our time
of course,
goes so
dad
fast.
jokes, can't miss our dad jokes or mom jokes. But God will be honored, and our hearts will find deeper satisfaction as we seek to love people just as Christ loved us when we were his enemies. Okay? Christ didn't die on the cross for nothing. Okay? He loves us, and because of my rebellion, not because of God, I rebelled. I have rebellion in me, and he loves me, and he gave me the grace. So now in turn, what ways have you practiced showing love to the unlovable? Do you have any suggestions? Give them. Throw them up on the thing. If we have time, we'll throw some up there, but let us know. I see some stuff coming through, and I just want to say, first of all, always encouraging when people, say how relevant it is to them. I just want to say thanks to Christina. I'll put it up so we can see it there. It's a big one. But I just want you to see that. I hope this is coming out. Is it on preview mode? Yeah, it's going out there. Okay. So I want you to see it. It says, I must need this message because everything I've been studying devotions lately is about loving difficult people. Hurt people.
We all need this message.
Yes, for sure. And it is relevant. And I like what you put on here, and it's true. It's a very important point. Hurt people hurt others. And they really don't have the intention or even know they're doing it.
Yeah.
That is so true.
True.
Amen, and praying for these people as they help me tremendously. So I just want to say thank you for Christina. It's a great reminder, and you're right. And this message is relevant. It's not John and Jennifer that are relevant. We lost the battle on cool a long time ago, but the gospel is relevant. Whatever age the person is that's on live stream tonight, he is helping us live out the gospel. And the Live It Out live stream is not just about gathering more information and knowing, oh yeah, we need to be giving grace, we need to be more loving. No, it's about how can we live that out to demonstrate good news to other people that are around us.
Learning from each other.
Yeah, learning from each other.
How we do this.
And I like, again, Christina puts on here, she comments again, our prayers do not need to be about what God needs to change in them. Very true.
Yeah.
But a prayer that God will bless them and heal their hurts.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about praying for someone so that they can know that I'm right.
We don't want to try to be the Holy Spirit for them.
Right? Or be me, or be like me, or whatever.
Yeah.
No, we're just praying, God, you're big enough. You know. Search their heart. Just like I prayed you search my heart and know me. That's right. God, we want healing for you. We want restoration for you. Yeah. You can pray the Lord's Prayer for them, keep them from evil. Very good. Great reminder. So, we're running out of time tonight to be able to go to more questions and comments, but I do want to just say thank you for your great comments, for the things that are coming through. We'll leave them through. A lot of people will still comment on the restream. The restream is available to you. So, if you want to go back, as soon as we're done with this, it posts and it stays on there on YouTube and all the other places. So we just want you to know that you are loved, and we love you deeply. And we hope that this live stream is just one way that we can connect. But as we said earlier in the show, we hope that we're able to see a lot of people face to face over this next year as we travel and as we prepare to dial in this new retreat space in the years ahead. So, all right. Well, listen, it's time in the show for us to do our dad jokes. It's going to be great. Okay, or mom jokes. Okay, mom jokes. So, because we've been around so many farms and everything, and Montana and all that, we're gonna do bovine. Bovine jokes.
We got a couple more cow jokes for you. So, John, what do you call a cow sleeping? A bulldozer.
Nice. All right. Well, hey, what do you call a cow with 2 legs shorter than the other 2? Lean beef. Lean beef. Yeah.
I get it. Lean beef.
Yeah, that's good. All right. Okay, one more. Let's see. Now I can't remember the other.
Corny.
Okay. Oh, I know the one I was going to say. Okay. All right. No. You had a mom joke. What was yours?
No, I'm done.
That was it?
That's it. That's all I had.
Oh my gosh. I gotta make sure I get it right.
You better have your punchline right.
Oh yeah. Singing in the shower is fun, loudly, but until you get soap in your mouth, then it's just a soap opera.
Wah, wah.
I like that one.
We have a lot of soap operas in our
I'm
house.
tempted to just sing some opera right now, but I'm not going to because we might blow the microphones. And I want to take this time as we wrap up to thank you all for interacting and being with us on or listening both live and on the restream. We created this venue to provide a practical and interactive way to help you and others live out the gospel. If you love our show and you stand with our mission, please consider giving a tax-deductible donation to Eternal Impact at eternalimpact.org. That's eternalimpact.org. So until next time,
friends, we genuinely pray that the joy of life and the gift of His grace will be tangible in and through you as you live it out. Have a great week, you guys. We'll see you next week.
Love you all. Talk to you soon.